How do you guys
All right.
how do you guys want to talk about, like, start this? Because it's just a Super Bowl prediction. So
I think
We'll start it like this. And with that, we are here. Welcome to this episode of the Moorpark Reporter Sportcast. I am your host, producer, engineer, and whatever else they tell me to do. I'm Dominic, and I'm here with Danny, Max, Mitch, and Kennedy, our presenters extraordinaire and sports reporters, just general Moorpark Reporter goats. That's how it is. So today, we got a jam-packed schedule. Football is coming to a close for this season. So obviously, we got to talk Super Bowl. Now, we have two teams, the hopeful champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the great old one, the Cthulhu of New England, coming down to Tampa Bay and back to the Super Bowl, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So what's going to happen? Who's got it?
Man, there's a lot to get in here, fellas. 2020, it's been a bad year. It's been the worst year of my life for sure. But if we look at my sports teams, guys, I got the Lakers, I got the Dodgers, and I got the Bucks. Dodgers want it, Lakers want it, Bucks want it. Can my teams three-peat? That's the real question. So there's just a lot to get into, guys. I don't know where to start.
You're emotional, Danny.
Yeah, there's just a lot to get into. Let's go back to the Week 12 matchup. Bucks, Chiefs. The Bucks' defensive game plan is to full-out blitz Mahomes, which makes sense. You want Mahomes to get rid of the ball. What happens? Tyreek Hill torches them for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. In the game? Nah. In the first quarter, the Chiefs jump out to a 17-0 lead, and by halftime, it's 20-7. But the score ended at 27-24. The Chiefs only won by 3 points. They adjusted at halftime. They gave Tyreek Hill some help. Carlton Davis, who was covering Tyreek Hill, they put Winfield in this as a safety to help out Davis, and they held Tyreek to only 66 yards in the last 3 quarters. So I'll get into this, but Schwartz went out. Their lineman went out into this game. I'll get into this later. And so since that game, the Bucks have gone 7-0 after their bye week, and the Chiefs, they've gone 0-9-1 against the spread. So until they beat the Bills. So the Bucks are hot. Chiefs are kind of cooling down, right? This is all building up. The Chiefs, they're struggling. Let's go back to the last Super Bowl now against the 49ers. They're down 20-10 in the fourth quarter. Jimmy G, fourth quarter, you just got to ice the game, my man. Mahomes, he's thrown 2 picks in the game already. Jimmy G, he has a 3 QBR in the fourth quarter, he throws for 36 yards, an interception, misses Emmanuel Sanders on the game-winning touchdown, and he has a 4th down sack. So Jimmy G blew the game. I don't know about if Tom Brady's going to do that. So my next point, the Tampa Bay pass rush versus the Kansas City O-line. Tampa Bay, they're 4th in sacks. They have the best run defense in the league. They're only giving up 80.4 yards per team. The next best, second place, is like 90. So they're 10 yards better than the second place rush defense. And just to another reason why I think the Tampa Bay pass rush is just going to dominate this KC O-line. Mitchell Schwartz is out, who is out in that who went out in that week 12 game, and Eric Fisher, their left tackle, is also out. Last year, they were 11-0 with Eric Fisher. Without him, the Chiefs were 4-4. And I know 8 games, that doesn't sound like a lot, but 8 games, that's half a season. I feel like that's a pretty good sample size to go 500 without your left tackle. Why is that important? Because the Packers lost their left tackle last week against the Bucks, David Bakhtiari. And what did the Bucks do? They got Rodgers 5 times. They hit him like another 4 times, and then they were just relentless in the red zone. The Packers went 2 for 4. They failed the 2-point conversion. And this is the best. I looked it up. The Packers had the best red zone offense in NFL history. And this Tampa D, they held them to 2 for 4. On the flip side, the red zone defense for Kansas City, they're 32nd. They have the highest touchdown percentage in the league. That's dead last, which I was really surprised to see. And then my last point is Tampa's path to the Super Bowl has just been so much more difficult than KC's. They start off in the wild card at Washington. I know Washington. I know they didn't have a quarterback. Taylor Heineke was a starting quarterback. He actually looked pretty good, but Washington had the 3rd best overall defense, the 2nd best pass rush defense, and the 11th best. 2nd best rush defense, 11th best pass defense. Then they go to the Superdome at New Orleans to the 2nd best overall defense. So they go from 3rd to 2nd. And I know Drew Brees, I know he couldn't throw a ball for his life, but the Saints beat them twice in the regular season. And then after they beat the 2nd best defense, they go to Green Bay at Lambeau Field to the 17th overall defense. Not too hot, but they have some talent. Jair Alexander, they have some talent, but we saw King, that corner get burned by Scotty Miller. They're just targeting King. And then so let's go to KC's schedule. They play Cleveland, the 25th best defense, which is that's just terrible. They have 2 players. We got into this earlier, Joe Hayden and Myles Garrett, and they have no one else. And then they win at Buffalo came to KC, and they're about middle of the pack defense, and they torched Josh Allen and the Bills. So I say all that to say the Bucs can beat the Chiefs by 1 point. I'm giving Tampa Bay the upset. I've been 12-0 in all of my picks. Am I confident?
You just talked for 6 minutes to only make them by 1 point? Come on, you got to have a little more chutzpah than that.
I say that because, listen, in the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes, and he's had I believe it's 15 drives. 13 out of those 15 drives, they resulted in a field goal or a touchdown. And one of them was a drop ball. The other one, he just took a knee at the end of the Bills game. So Tom Brady's going to have to pull out a miracle for this one. So I'm giving Tampa Bay by 1 point. I've been 12-0. I have not missed a playoff pick yet. Am I confident in this one? Nope. But I'll go Tampa Bay by 1.
So Danny says the great old ones are going to defeat the new gods. Max, what say you?
Yeah, so Danny got a lot of that, but it's really obvious when you're talking about these 2 teams. 2 things: great defenses, and both offenses can air it out. So it's going to be really interesting matchups on both sides of the ball. But I think the key to whoever wins this is whoever can get that run game going. If you can control the run game and control that play action pass and stuff like that, you have a really good chance of winning this game. The Chiefs, just going a little bit different. The Chiefs have a top tier return team this season. The Bucs have allowed the 7th most return yards this season. So there's the little things that these teams can mess up and that can change the Super Bowl. So the Bucs have a lot of work ahead of them. Le'Veon Bell and Sammy Watkins and L'Jarius Sneed are all questionable as of Monday. And yeah, this is just the Bucs are the number 5 offense going against the number 10 defense. The Chiefs are the best offense going against the number 9 defense. So if we're looking just statistics wise, this should be one of the best matchups possible that we could have gotten this season. And to me, this is really a game. The biggest narrative is this is really as close as we're ever going to get to Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. If you really think about it, there's no debate at that point. If Tom Brady can win this, then he has solidified himself as the greatest of all time. It does not matter if he cheated a couple. I don't care. If you really think about it, there's always a debate in basketball Twitter, and it'll never be settled. This is as close as we'll get. The old head versus the new head. If Tom Brady wins this, it has to have solidified him as the GOAT, at least, unless obviously a quarterback wins 8+ championships, which is unfathomable. But yeah, it's hard not to choose the Chiefs. I want the Bucs to win just because I think that narrative would be crazy. But yeah, I have the Chiefs winning 35-24. I really don't think the outcome is going to be as close as we all hope.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, Max, you got that right on the nose. Unfortunately, like, that debate between MJ and LeBron never will be settled. And, sports fans are lucky we have this opportunity to watch like an actual competition between the GOAT and the GOAT apparent. I disagree with you, though. I think Tom Brady can still be the GOAT if he loses, when he loses. Look, Andy Reid, he's a man of very few words. After winning the Super Bowl last year, he's like, yeah, I'm going to have a cheeseburger, might have two. Don't overthink this one. The Chiefs are going to win. All the pressure is on them, but the Chiefs are going to win. This is the great passing of the torch that every sports fan wants to see their hero pass the torch to the next hero. Brady passed it on to Mahomes. I think it's going to be quite amazing to see what happens. I got a few things. One, it's going to be an extremely close game. I see it happening. Late fourth quarter. Buccaneers have the ball. Brady goes to throw for the go-ahead touchdown. Boom. Tyrann Mathieu, interception. Brady's old. He can't get a touchdown to win the game. Patrick Mahomes throws a walk-off touchdown. Chiefs win 34-28. Mahomes is the Super Bowl MVP. But more importantly than that, let's talk the prop bets. That's what the Super Bowl is all about. The party. It's going to be heads for the coin toss. I think it's going to be heads. And I think the Buccaneers are going to score first on a Godwin touchdown in the first quarter. And I think the Gatorade bath will be red because both teams were red. I'm just here to watch the game and enjoy it. My dog's not in the fight, but I'm excited to see what happens.
All right. Well done.
Hey, let me throw. Hey, Mitch, I like the prop bet idea. Let me throw in a couple of prop bets. I already put some money on.
All right. Let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
I went Darrell Williams over 34.5 rushing yards. Le'Veon Bell against the Chiefs. He got the nod. He went 2 for 6. He looked terrible. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I looked into his stats. He was the 33rd ranked running backs in terms of efficiency. So he put up stats, but that was mostly off his O-line play. And against this Tampa Bay rush defense, I think it's going to be Darrell Williams who showed out against the Bears. Over 34.5. I went Mike Evans, first touchdown in the game. I like that Chris Godwin bet, but I went Mike Evans. I got it at plus 1,300. Touchdown machine. And yeah, I like it, Mitch.
All right.
Mitch, hold on, Tom. Mitch just gave the most stupid football analysis I've ever heard. It's like he's never watched any football. You fool, you moron, you absolute simpleton.
How dare you, sir?
The coin toss is going to be tails, and you know it.
I mean, it's possible. Anything can happen. I'm just hoping that, the halftime show performance by the weekend. By the way, I don't know if you heard, he's putting in like millions of dollars of his own money to make the show what it's supposed to be. Nothing can be worse than the letdown when Travis Scott appeared with the SpongeBob and then didn't do the song from SpongeBob. What was it? Sweet Victory. Yeah. When they didn't do that, that was the most disappointing halftime show I've ever seen. I'm looking forward to the weekend. He's a great performer.
All right. Well, moving on, we got to get Kennedy's take in here. Kennedy, Mitch says the new gods will dethrone the old ones. Down goes Thor, Zeus, and all those old gods. We've got, we got Buddha coming in. What say you?
Buddha was Aaron Rodgers in his third eye, and now he's off to. But we pretty much broke down the stats of the game, the in and outs of it. I kind of want to look outside and see you have a quarterback who's been dominating the league for the past 2 decades versus the quarterback who's expected to dominate the league for the next two decades. And this is really one of the most interesting stories in probably Super Bowl history, where you have the solidified GOAT for right now, the Michael Jordan of his time, and then the up-and-coming LeBron James. Patrick Mahomes, and this hurts me to say because I am a Denver Broncos fan through and through, Patrick Mahomes does things on the field that I've never seen before. He's only going to get better. He's probably right now the best quarterback to ever exist right now. And he's only won one Super Bowl. I don't care how many Super Bowls he win. Tom Brady isn't running around the field like Patrick Mahomes. And as many times as they say Tom Brady can't do it, he won't do it, he's not going to do it, he keeps doing it. He's been doing it to all of us for 20 years, ever since Bill Belichick took him in the sixth round of the NFL draft. He's been proving us wrong and laughing in our face. So I don't know who to pick in this Super Bowl, because if I pick the Chiefs, I might get run out of Denver and never be accepted again. And if I pick the man who's been tormenting the AFC and pretty much all of NFL for 20 years, it feels weird. It feels wrong. Here's what I'm hoping for. My bet is there's going to be 5 good Super Bowl commercials. That's what I'm going to wager. There's going to be 5 ones that we all talk about and we go, yep, those were pretty good commercials. That's all. I'm not going to pick a winner. I'm going to pick there's 5 good Super Bowl commercials.
I'm with Kennedy on that one.
Fair enough.
Everyone in America wins in this matchup. Like this has to be like the most amazing Super Bowl matchup that I've ever been, alive for. I can't think of a greater one. Can anybody?
And it's not that we win, but what's more important to everyone who follows the NFL, Bill Belichick loses. So I think we all can rejoice. No matter who wins, it wasn't Bill Belichick.
Completely agree. Also, something that we aren't talking about is that Tampa, it's being played in Tampa, which is crazy. This is, I think, the 3rd time it's ever happened.
No, this is the first time.
This is
the first time? Oh, okay.
Yeah, this never happened.
Home field advantage, like a legit home field advantage.
Imagine if if there was no COVID, how crazy Tampa. Florida is already a lawless swamp and anything goes down there. But imagine if everything was open and there was no deadly disease that half the country didn't care about.
Yeah, exactly. Also, just in general, I think that the Chiefs are already at an advantage for everything, but also this team, they didn't get a lot of new guys in the offseason. So a lot of these guys already know what it's like to win a Super Bowl, and they know what it takes to win a Super Bowl. So it'll be interesting to see. Another
thing, Danny, I liked your stat. I didn't know that they were 32nd, Kansas City, in red zone scoring. And I think I have an answer for that. I don't have any proof, but I think it's because Patrick Mahomes is always throwing the ball 2 stadiums away. So they never really get into the red zone. So maybe that's why. But that really shocked me.
It was their defense. Maybe I missed defense, yeah.
That makes the point still stands about Patrick Mahomes throwing it from the next stadium.
I don't know who to believe. I saw Pro Football Focus say Tom Brady threw 36 touchdowns in the red zone, and then I saw Football Reference say he threw 28. So I'm not sure who to believe. I'll take Pro Football Focus. 36 touchdowns sounds better than 28. And I like what you said about that home field advantage, Max. I forgot to bring it up, that they also get a 2 weeks off. So what does that mean? Winfield, who is banged up, he is expected to come back. Antonio Brown, who is banged up, he's expected to come back. Ronald Jones, who's been dealing with a hamstring injury, he's also expected to play. So Tampa Bay should be getting some of their huge playmakers back. Man, I cannot wait. But like Kennedy, you had it easy, man. I think the Chiefs are going to win, but I picked the Bucks. You got to pick someone. Come on now.
I don't know what you mean I had it easy. We haven't had a good – when's the last time we had a good Super Bowl commercial? And I'm picking 5? Come on.
Didn't Bud Light have Dilly Dilly a couple years ago?
Yeah.
They've kept that going, and that's been pretty good.
Yeah, okay, but that's one brand, one commercial.
I think the bigger, more important matter at hand is – are you guys nacho people or pizza people for the Super Bowl? Do you guys like wings or pizza?
I think the answer is just yes.
Yeah,
I go with everything, yeah.
Do you treat it like you would Thanksgiving, where there's no experimentation? You go with the classics, or do you allow the Super Bowl? Do you allow your freak flag to fly a little bit? Because I'm pretty traditional when it comes to Super Bowl. It's wings, it's nachos, it's pizza, there's dips, there's chips, that kind of thing. You're not going to bring it up paella.
I think we're having a charcuterie board this year.
I don't know. Honestly, a good
That's
paella,
nice.
I would down a good paella with like the Super Bowl.
I'm not disagreeing with the deliciousness of a paella, but if you brought a paella to my Super Bowl party, I'm going to look at you weird.
I don't even know.
Why would
what
I
that
go to
is.
your Super Bowl party? I'd have to put on a shirt.
No. Dom, it's shirts optional at Kennedy's place. Come on.
You got to pay extra to wear a shirt.
Well, all right. So let's get one final tally here. Danny, who you got for the Super Bowl?
I'll go 32-31 Tampa Bay off a Ryan Suckup game-winning field goal.
All right. That's one for the Bucks. Max.
Yeah, I have the Chiefs winning 35-24.
All right. That's one for Bucks, one for the Chiefs. Mitch?
Chiefs on a Patty Mahomes walk-off TD pass, 34-28.
One for the Bucks, two for the Chiefs. Kennedy.
I don't really like picking, but if you guys make me pick, I'm going to go with Tampa Bay, and it's going to be 2-0. Tampa Bay's going to get a safety in the first 7 seconds of the game. It's going to be a defensive battle throughout the rest of the Super Bowl.
All right.
I like it.
I love it.
So there we go.
That's
We
great.
got 2-2 evenly split podcast. Honestly, I'm hoping Max and Mitch are right and the Chiefs are going to win. But remember the lessons we've learned about the great old ones. That is not dead, which can eternal lie. And Tom Brady has never truly been dead. So,
And the weekend will put on a fantastic halftime show. That man's a showman.
and there we are. And that is all the time we have for this half.
Wait. Let me throw in 2 more prop bets because Mitch got me excited. Take
Yeah.
Tampa Bay plus 10.5 team rushing yards. I feel like Fournette and Ronald Jones are going to outrush the Chiefs' backfield, and I'm taking Tampa Bay plus 3.5. That's just because I'm rooting for Tampa Bay. There's not much science with that one. I just took 3.5.
All right. And now that I have more editing to do, we are going to take a short break and we will be back next segment for a little bit of chat about the Matt Stafford trade. And then, of course, some NBA wildcard chat. Stick around. With that, we return to our regular scheduled programming. We're back again with our 4 amazing hosts, and this time we got 2 bits of chat for you. First, we got to talk about the Rams and the Lions trading Matt Stafford and Jared Goff, and then we're gonna get into a bit of NBA wildcard chat. Wildcard because each of our amazing people here have picked their own little NBA story to share. But getting ahead of ourselves, little tease for later. First off, Matt Stafford for Jared Goff and 2 first-round draft picks. Is it worth it?
Yeah, Dom. Also, there's a 3rd-round pick in there as well. Is it worth it? Clearly, like things have soured between the Rams and Goff. He was not the guy anymore. McVay did not draft him. And he just kind of told the front office, he's like, look, Stafford's the guy. He's the guy I want. Go get him. So I read that there were a number of teams that were interested in Stafford, and the Rams made by and far the best offer. Look, I mean, you're definitely getting an older quarterback. I think Stafford's 33, but he's a much better passer. He's got a better arm than Goff does. And he knows how to kind of, keep the play going instead of just dropping down to the ground like a wimp or throwing an interception like Goff does. I think it's going to be good. I don't think it makes the Rams like Super Bowl favorites, but I think it makes them exciting and better contenders than they would be with Goff. And I just look at, they're going to lose some defensive players, and you got to make the best out of Aaron Donald's career, and you can't waste another year of him. So I think, it was a good move. I think the Lions got the better end of the deal. You're getting the 2 firsts back. I don't know that Stafford was worth it, but, McVay said, go get this guy, and they got the guy. So good trade for both sides, but Lions definitely won the trade.
It was getting clear to people watching, and I guess the LA Rams organization, that Goff was a system quarterback, that he wasn't really good. It was really McVay and his system that was kind of elevating Jared Goff. And I believe if we went before the playoffs, I had 2 people in this very podcast predicting that Goff is the chosen one taking him to the Super Bowl, but that's a conversation for another time. I don't know what the Rams really could have done in this situation. If they stayed with Goff, I think they were a year or two away from his big contract actually starting. So you're stuck with a bunch of money there. So in the past 4 years, Goff's QBR under pressure was 24 out of 29 quarterbacks. And they improved by getting Matt Stafford. They went all the way from 24 to 19th. So really the improvement when they're under pressure really isn't that much. You do get better arm strength, but keep in mind that these are the quarterbacks that are still in the league that are better than Matthew Stafford. You still have Mahomes, you still have Rodgers, you still have Brady, you still have Allen, you still have Wilson, you still have Watson, you still have Jackson, and you still have Baker Mayfield. I would even put Baker Mayfield above Matthew Stafford at this point. If you look at the past games that he's been playing, he's going up, significantly. You also have to keep in mind that the Rams defense, that fantastic defense that got them to the playoffs because Goff is god-awful, isn't going to be the same defense that it was this next upcoming season. You are losing 4 starters, and you lost your defensive coordinator to the LA Chargers. I almost said San Diego Chargers because in my mind they'll always be the San Diego Chargers, but you just lost your defensive coordinator. So to think that things are going to be the same in LA, I feel like it's a lose-lose if you're the Rams. So you kind of had to make this trade, but you're not winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so I think that it was a win-win trade. I do think your guys' points totally make sense. Jared Goff clearly was not supposed to be a part of this team anymore. And they really, to give them 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick, including your already starting quarterback, is a crazy deal to get. So that's I think it'll be tough to see what happens to Jared Goff in the coming years. But I'm just going to give you guys gave some stats on that already, but I'm going to tell you about Matt Stafford and some of the crazy stats that Rams fans and fans of the NFL need to know. So he leads the NFL since he came into the league with 31 fourth quarter comebacks. He finished top 10 in passing yards 7 times. He's only had this is the crazy, only had a 100-yard rusher in 11 of 166 games. That is absurd. And and then since he was a Lion, the Lions led the NFL in passes dropped, and he's had a completion rate above 64% in each of his last 6 seasons. So Matt Stafford is definitely better than Jared Goff, though I did gain a lot of respect for Jared Goff in that last playoff game. Once he played with that hand, that looked gnarly, and I would not want to have to play with that. But I think it's a win-win. Definitely Lions won way more, but I definitely get Kennedy's point where, yeah, the Rams, they could shoot themselves in the foot, especially if you go back to 2016 was the last time they had a first-round pick, and they won't have one until 2023.
The real winner is Matthew Stafford because he got out of the dysfunctional organization that is the Detroit Lions, and he got out of Detroit. And now he's playing football in California and Los Angeles. So who cares if he wins? He has money, and he's living in LA now. And he's with his best friend Kershaw. Did you know that they were best friends, by the way? I didn't know that. I didn't see that 500 times on Twitter when Matthew Stafford got traded.
I knew that before people put it on Twitter.
Everyone knew that. Everyone knew that.
I'm not special, I guess.
Listen, I don't think you guys realize how big of a win this was for the Rams. Listen, Matthew Stafford is an A+, trade, A+++ upgrade from Jared Goff. Listen, I know I was on the Jared Goff train, Kennedy. I didn't say he was the answer. I said he was good enough to get.
You gave him 7 pluses.
I said Jared Goff was good enough, and then after he lost to Nick Mullins and the 49ers, I said, Jared Goff, I'm done defending you. I'm off Goff. And let me tell you why the Rams fleeced the Lions. Yeah, you heard it. They fleeced the Lions. Listen, Matthew Stafford, he's had no – hey, Max, you brought up some great stats, and I don't think you really you brought up the stats, but you didn't dig the grave. Listen, Stafford, he's had no talent. Sean McVay versus the coaches Stafford has been with. Jim Schwartz, when he got into the league, they hired Jim Schwartz. What's Jim Schwartz done? Oh, he won a Super Bowl. That's cool as a defensive coordinator. As the I'll get into Megatron Kennedy. He won a Super Bowl as a defensive coordinator with the Eagles. Oh wait, Tom Brady threw 500 yards on that defense. They get a Darius Slay, and they get worse somehow. I'm not sure if Jim Schwartz is ever going to get a head coaching career. Jim Caldwell, he won some games. No one's hiring Jim Caldwell. They hired David Culley over Jim Caldwell, the Texans. They didn't even interview Caldwell. And then Matt Patricia. You want to know how bad Matt Patricia was? Matthew Stafford said, yo, trade me to any team. I'll go to the Texans. Just don't send me to New England with Matt Patricia. I don't want to deal. I don't want to see Matt Patricia again. That's how terrible he was. So 2018, Jared Goff. He's the fifth best quarterback in the league. Number 5. He's up with Mahomes, Rodgers, Wilson. And then 2019, they figure out, hey, all you got to do, you got to blitz Goff. You got to take away his first read, and he doesn't know what to do. He looks at his first read, and then he freaks out. He dropped from he went from the fifth best quarterback, to the 18th best quarterback, to the 22nd best quarterback. You know what Matthew Stafford was in 2018 when he had a Pro Bowl receiver? He had the 5th highest QBR. Where's he going? He's going to one of the best offensive coaches in the league. I consider Sean McVay a top 5 coach in the league. I don't know where you guys consider him. I'll put him up with Andy Reid and Harbaugh. I consider him top 5. So let's just go over how terrible Goff was. You mentioned how terrible he was under pressure. This is without pressure. So quarterbacks with over 4 seconds to throw the ball. He was behind the 5th best offensive line in football. So, hey, he's got time, right? He was dead last, 32 out of 32. He was in last place in QBR in terms of how he performed with no pressure. And then his deep ball passing rate the last 2 seasons, he had a 9% conversion percentage versus Matthew Stafford. And listen, I get the Kennedy, you brought up how the Rams are going to lose four starters on the defense. Well, they haven't lost them yet. We'll see if they re-sign. But here, the Rams, they're banking on their late round picks. They decided that they don't need these first round picks. John Johnson, safety that they're probably going to lose. He was a 3rd round pick. He was the 3rd best safety. Joseph Day, you guys probably aren't familiar with him, but if you're a Rams fan, you'll know who he is. He was the 20th best defensive end. He was the 6th round pick. Cam Akers, 2nd round pick. Micah Kaiser, their linebacker, 5th round pick. Cooper Kupp, one of the best receivers, 3rd round pick. Darius Williams, undrafted. He was the 4th best cornerback. Listen, they have Jalen Ramsey. They have Aaron Donald. So it makes so much it makes life so much easier for them to scheme up the rest of the side of the field and put players in the best positions to succeed. And listen, they get players to come. Sean McVay gets players to play there. And 2 years ago, he got Ndamukong Suh. Got him for a year, then he left to Tampa. Last year, they got Leonard Floyd from Chicago. He had a breakout year. We'll see who they get. And last year, they also got Troy Hill, who they're paying like $900K. And he led the NFL in defensive touchdowns. And they also got Robert Woods from Buffalo a few years ago. So they get players to come play with them. They hit on their late round picks. The only thing that I'm worried about is their depth. They're really top end heavy. We saw this in the playoffs against the Packers. Once Aaron Donald went out, once Cooper Kupp went out, they didn't have anyone to throw the ball to. And once Aaron Donald went out, their defensive pass rush was just nowhere to be seen. So I think this is a huge win for the Rams. I am worried about their depth, I guess, but I think this is definitely a top 3 Super Bowl team coming out of the NFC. I mean, listen. They beat Seattle last year. That was with Russell Wilson. This is with Jared Goff. I really think that this is a top 3 team behind maybe the Packers and the 49ers.
I think this is, Danny, where the delusion of the LA fan starts to make itself known. This isn't basketball and this isn't baseball, the two sports that LA is known for, where you can reasonably say that it's LA, people want to come play here. This is football, where I think it's the fourth most important sport in LA. You can figure out what the third one is. So I don't think you're really attracting stars the way you would in the NBA and in the MLB. So
I get that, but it's mostly Sean McVay. I feel like players want to play with Sean McVay. They know that if they come play with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, they've seen players turn their careers around. Leonard Floyd, he was a first-round draft pick. The Bears didn't want him. He comes to play next to Aaron Donald. He has 10.5 sacks. He's going to get paid this offseason. Players know that they'll succeed with McVay, Donald, and Ramsey.
All right. And that is all the time we have for that, because we got 10 minutes left on the clock, and I need to hear your stories from the NBA. All right.
Yeah, so this is a pretty crazy one. So during the Detroit versus Golden State Warriors game a couple days back, some words were exchanged between a Warriors player and Wayne Ellington in the first quarter. And after the game, Rodney McGruder, who plays for the Detroit, went and confronted the Warriors player, saying, and you can visibly see him saying in the video, "What were you saying?" He was like, "What were you saying?" Trying to like back up his teammate, which led to Klay Thompson, who was on the broadcast, saying, this is quotes, "I don't know. This dude might be out the league soon. He's probably mad about that. Who knows? Over here trying to start something like he's a good player or something." And then right after that, he was told to chill out by the Warriors commentators. And then Draymond Green post game said, "I was in the locker room, but apparently he was sticking up for Wayne Ellington. When the F did Rodney McGruder become the tough guy of the team? I don't know, man. Everybody in the league tough these days. It's crazy. I've seen a lot of tough guys this year." And he says, "Over there talking blank like he's the team tough guy. Get the hell out of here." I think it's really sad to see that from Klay and Draymond. I'm not surprised by Draymond. I don't think Draymond took it too far. But I do think Klay did, talking about a man's career, especially McGruder went undrafted in 2013 and spent time in the G League, and he's been fighting for a roster spot for the past 5 years. So I think there should be actually some credit given for a guy who stayed in the league that long and fought his way to a roster. But I think Klay stooped a little bit too low, kind of hitting a low blow personally, especially when you're a future Hall of Famer. You should know better. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, it'd be one thing if Klay was like talking trash about, let's just say, Kevin Durant, someone who's in the same kind of atmosphere as Klay Thompson, but he was really punching down with Rodney, and it doesn't help when your name's Rodney and you're trying to start a fight. My story is going to be Daryl Morey and the Philadelphia 76ers. And I know that in the news that there's been a lot of talk of market manipulation in the stock market. Here's the market manipulation that's going on in the NBA. You have Daryl Morey for years preaching small ball, going small, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And everyone in the NBA is rushing to it because it is effective. And then he goes to the 76ers and has a big man like Joel Embiid and is reaping the benefits, because in reality, when you have someone who's bigger, stronger, and faster than anyone else on your team, you're probably going to win more basketball games. So I just think it's interesting how Daryl Morey went to the Houston Rockets, reinvented how basketball is looked at and played and scouted, and then he goes back and he's winning with your traditional big. It's kind of funny how that kind of works out. Oh, and by the way, Houston, the whole core has just been blown up. And Daryl Morey is winning.
I thought Max was gonna hop in there, but I'll go ahead and say my little takeaway. I just watched the Clippers Nets game. What a great game! And my big takeaway is that these Brooklyn Nets, they have the best offensive efficiency in NBA history, and they also have the worst NBA defensive efficiency in NBA history. And guess what? I don't think it matters. I really think that they can win games in these shootout fashions, trading off Harden, Kyrie. KD wasn't even a factor in the last 2 minutes because Kyrie could not miss. I really do think that they could come out the East. I worry if what happens when they run into the Lakers or Clippers in a 7-game series. I'm not sure if they can have these shootouts, because we saw them lose to the Wizards just a few nights ago where they couldn't close it out. But I think this team can win with this offense.
I also think there's a theory, and I have no proof of it, but I think you're going to see NBA teams that are like really good, like the Nets, the Lakers, the Clippers, try less in the regular season. They're not going to really work for that number 1 seed as hard. As long as they get the top 4, they don't really care. And then they can work hard and actually turn on the defense and, fatigue the body. When you're really doing this marathon of a regular game season, why would you play every game like it's the championship?
Yeah, great point. I thought it was a great game tonight. Lots of back and forth. Man, watching Kawhi play is like watching poetry in slow motion. His hands are so big, and he's just so graceful. Like, he just floats. You'd be surprised. But my little takeaway from this week is a little bit of trade chatter around former number 2 pick Lonzo Ball, big baller brand. Things not really working out in New Orleans right now. Like, they're 7-12, I believe. It seems like Ball's not really had a lot of consistency since he's been drafted. He's had 3 head coaches in 4 years, and in each of those years, his roles have changed dramatically. There are a couple teams that I like to pick up Lonzo Ball that could potentially be contending this year. I like the Golden State Warriors. You might be thinking, what? Why the Golden State Warriors? Well, one, the Warriors are a pass-forward team. In the last 6 seasons, they've been top 10 in assists per game as a team, and I believe they've been top 5 in the last 4 out of the 5 last seasons. Also, you have an opportunity for someone who was a pretty decent shooter in college to learn under 2 of the greatest shooters of all time, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I think that'd be a good fit. I also like him with the LA Clippers, someone to come off the bench to solely facilitate the ball, not take any shots, not be an offensive threat whatsoever, but just to pass the ball around. The Clippers are, they do like to pass the ball. And there was a possession tonight where everybody touched the ball multiple times, which ended with a Kawhi 3, literally at like 0.1 second of the shot clock. And I'm like, that is some passing efficiency. So I'd like to see what happens with the trade rumors going down the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I agree. But I think the Clippers would be the best fit because Kelly Oubre is in the talks with the Warriors, and I just don't feel like that would be a really good fit with the Pelicans. So yeah, I just think definitely the Clippers is the best option for that.
All right, well done, all of you. A lot of different stories in there, a lot of things I hadn't heard about. So thank you very much for enlightening me. Maybe one day I'll reach Aaron Rodgers level and get my third eye open. But that is for another week because that's all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for watching, and let's tell our viewers where they can find you on social media, your names, and whatever else.
At D Stepanovich, Twitter and Instagram.
At _Max Clark at Twitter and Instagram.
At Mitch Ross Report, #recall Rob Manfred. I'll be crying my eyes out because baseball's hurting my feelings.
You can find me at Kennedy C. Collier. I think that's my Twitter handle. I really don't know. And you can also find me crying for a different reason about the MLB because my team is now irrelevant.
Sweet. Later.